What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Hamilton Tile Show. This is episode 6. It is April 20th. We've been about 3 weeks since our last show. Jason and I have been working separate lately. How's it going today, Jason?
It's going good. Just waiting on our first coat of Ardex 8 Plus 9 to dry so we can put on our second on the floor for crack isolation purposes. And then if everything goes to plan, it might be an early day. But I probably shouldn't have said that.
What happened? Why can't you use Detra on this thing?
We're using a mosaic. It's smaller than 2x2, so
you're not supposed to use a Detra on a mosaic smaller than 2x2?
Nope, you are not. The only one you can use is blank permat or a sheet membrane, and I didn't feel like using either, so 8 plus 9, here we are.
And what are we working on here?
Just a little Jack and Jill bathroom, tub surround, I don't know, 100 feet of floor. That's about it. Just something simple.
And then we self-leveled yesterday. How many bags did we pour? We poured 9 bags.
9 bags for 100 square feet. The floor was all over the place. 1.25 to 3/4 to 1/8 to 1/2 inch. It was just all over the place, but we're nice and flat now.
What would you say, like, the number one secret to self-leveling is?
Best investment we made for doing self-leveling, 2 things. One was the self-leveling kit came with the cart. Actually, I'm sorry, 3 things. We got the kit that came with the barrel, the mixing buckets, the spreader, the gauge rake, the whole kit and caboodle. It was, I don't know, $300, $400. I don't even remember. Wasn't too bad. Second thing was the rover cart. It's the cart that holds the bucket. Because if you try to make more than 2 bags, if you try to make 2 bags in that bucket, it starts getting really heavy. You can't move it around very easily, and you're gonna spill it. So we got a rolling cart for it. That thing was about $500-$600. That was probably the second best purchase we made for self-leveling was that, because now we can mix 3 bags at a time. So when you're doing self-leveling, the trick is you have to get down as much material as fast as possible because it has a finite time of flowability. Liquid backer boards generally around 10 minutes, so it's not long, and it takes 2 to 3 minutes to make a batch. So if you're only making 1 to 2 bags at a time, that's why a lot of people's self-leveler, I think, just doesn't come out very well. They're not going fast enough. So with those 2 things, we can make 3 bags at a time and get them down on the ground quickly. The third investment we made for self-leveling was the Colamix Aquix. So therefore, we can measure out every single batch extremely precise with the water amount. Because if you're off on water amounts, it's either going to be too wet and it's going to crack up and it's just not going to, you're going to have problems. It can get powdery on the surface and that's not good. And if you don't have enough water, it's going to be too thick and it's not going to flow right. So those 3 things are very important when doing self-leveling. So once we got those tools, all of a sudden we noticed, man, our self-leveling is starting to come out a whole lot better. I mean, our floors generally come out mint.
And we haven't tried to, like, zero anything out either.
No, that's another thing. With self-leveling, I used to try to zero it out. Sometimes you kind of have to because, again, we're with liquid backer board, which we use a lot. The max depth is 1.25 inches. So you can't go over 1.25 inches per lift. So that means it would have to be a second pour. So sometimes we'll try to zero it out in an area if it's real small, like in a corner or something like that. But generally speaking, we shoot for a 1/4 inch over the high spot. It can go down to as low as 1/8 over the high spot, but then it doesn't want to flow as well at 1/8 of an inch. So you run the risk of making a little bit of a hump right there. This floor had a spot like that. Luckily, it doesn't seem like I made a hump. It came out pretty nice. Plus, it was still mosaic small tiles. So even if there was a little bit of a hump, you're not going to notice it. It's not going to be an issue.
Yeah, with the last one we did, like, last week or 2 weeks ago was a 15 bag pour. And
now that one had an area that was deeper than 1.25 inches. So what we had to do is that night we had to put down 1/2 inch cement board in the deep area to kind of eat up some of the space. So therefore we could do it all in one pour. Because then if you got to do it a second time, you got to reprime, re-let that stuff dry, and it's just, you know. And there are other self-levelers that can go deeper. I believe there's some laticrates that can go up to 3 inches. But then you got to use metal lath, I believe, and like it's just, they're different products for different substrates. We like liquid backer board because you don't need to use lath on the floor. Just straight up pour it and you're done.
Yeah, that guy came out dead nuts level.
Yeah, that was for
flat. It was so flat for 24 by 48 inch tile. Setting that big tile was just a dream.
Yeah, I was dreading it. That was our first, I would consider, super format tile that we've done. We've done larger planks, but no 24 by 48s, and that actually wasn't that bad. The worst part of it, which I figured it would be, was just handling the material. and collapsing the ridges. Next time we do a big tile like that, I'm going to buy one of the tile vibrators, because I don't care what they say. Nobody tells you this about the big tiles like that size. You cannot collapse the mortar on your own. Like, we had to put all of our weight onto the tile just to move it side to side. I had a suction cup, and like, you can just rest your weight against the suction cup pushing, and you ain't moving that tile very easily. So could you imagine trying to collapse those ridges to get good coverage? So that doesn't really work out too well. So we need to invest in a tile vibrating machine.
Yeah. So then after that, I worked a week and a half by myself, and it sucked. And I wanted to see if we could justify having two people working on a job and why that's better for the homeowner in comparison to having one person on the job. Like, I think a lot of times with tilers, we're relegated to working alone just because of the overall cost. When you have two people on a job, two skilled guys like us, you pretty much pay double the amount of money, wouldn't you say?
Depends on the job. Some jobs, yeah, it is double the money, because there's not really two people worth of work. On average, I'd say it's probably 25 to 30% more, because when we work by ourselves, yeah, there's days where we don't need a second person. I'm just waterproofing the tubs around or whatever. So instead of being done at noon 1, maybe I'm done at 3 or 4, by myself, versus with both of us here. Still doesn't make it enjoyable, but then there's days where you need two people, and you get twice the amount of work done with two people versus one. So it's kind of a give or take a little bit. Overall, you should have a helper, or another person to work with. Not necessarily a helper, but another person to work with, because it just makes things so much more easier on your body and stress-free. And like yesterday, we got down to self-leveling. If I was by myself, if I could do it by myself, I'd have to clean up that entire mess all by myself. That would take every bit of an hour and a half. Well, with Ben here, he's upstairs cleaning up, I'm downstairs cleaning up, and we're done in 15, 20 minutes,
It's the difference between when I'm working alone setting a shower, I'm working 9 to 5, 9 to 6. When we're together, we're working 9 to 3. I think the difference, and this is hard to even portray to a homeowner, because I don't think most homeowners care about this, but when you have two guys working on a job, you have a better tile job, because you're not dealing with a rundown tile guy.
Yeah, you're not fatigued. I see it all the time, man. When we go to supply house, I get this comment all the time. Man, do you even work? Doesn't look like you're working or nothing. It's like, no, because we work a certain way. We don't leave. A lot of these people out there, man, it looks like they just run their self ragged into the bone. You can tell they're slouched over. They're beat down. There's no reason to work like it. No other industry is asked to do that. Every other business model, they're allowed to have multiple employees and, helpers and people that, this is not a one-man job, not by any means, but for whatever reason, construction and tile, and more specifically, you don't see too many tile crews, anymore. There's a couple outfits down here in Atlanta that they do it right, where they have multiple crews of multiple people, and, but they're doing multi-million-dollar projects and, stuff like that. The general, contractors you're going to get to work in your house, I know a lot of them, they work by themselves. And like I said, some projects you can make do. It's not enjoyable, the constant up and down and cleaning up and just the amount of stuff you have to do. It's not ideal. We do it from time to time, but we do not make it a habit. That is for sure.
My claim here is that you get a better product with us with two people than you would get with just one. I can even speak to myself, because I like a couple examples. There's another set of eyes there. If Jason misses something, I'm gonna find it, right? That happened on a job I was working on. Is at the next day I missed something. I had to take a tile off. That probably wouldn't have happened if we were working together. On that builder job, for example, I didn't sweep up one day that I was working there. Not once. I ain't gonna lie.
Oh, I'll slack on cleaning up. I'll still clean up, but definitely not as thorough as we would, because again, it's just, you have so much to do when you're by yourself. It's almost daunting. It's too much. It's almost too much.
Yeah. That's a lot of the reason why our prices are higher than other people too, is you have to think of that is if you got one guy working, It's different than if you have two guys working, two skilled people. I mean, you can have one tiler and a helper, but it's not the same as what we're doing. I think we provide a better product because we work together. And there's a lot of little things. I call it intangibles essentially that I do. I'm like the guy on the I'm like Bill Lambier on the basketball team. Can't really point out exactly what he does, but he's out there doing it, and he's there. That's a lot of what I do. It's just intangible stuff. So that I think it makes a difference. I know it makes a difference in my life because I have a better lifestyle, a better work-life balance, because when we're working together, I get to do the things that I want to do at home, which then makes me a better person to work at someone's house. It makes me more service-oriented. It makes me more happy. There's something to be said for the happiness and the well-being of the people that are working in your home. And do you really want to hire or work with somebody that you're running their ass into the ground? I don't think that's right. And our customers, I really appreciate these people, choose to support us and choose to allow us to run a better business model. And I super appreciate that. And these people are benefactors for us. And I appreciate that. And I think they get a better product once again because
it's not that I think. You do. It's not a think to get a better product. You do get a better product when someone can afford to slow down, take their time, and do a nice job. That's the majority of the problems with construction today. People cannot afford to slow down. They have to take every conceivable shortcut imaginable to get done in a certain time frame to meet someone's, builder's or anybody's, perceived budget. That's just reality. So that's the main problem with construction. People are just in such a hurry to do anything. I did a backsplash at a new construction house the other day, and just watching how definitely a different mindset.
It's a clown show.
Sometimes it can be, yeah. Just mostly, I don't get the do everything twice, mindset.
Oh, if the customer doesn't complain, it's fine. And then you wait for the customer to complain, and then you fix it.
Just take your time.
Just do the right thing the first time.
Take your time the first time and just do it once. That's how I am. So I guess some people don't work like that. And
bass backwards.
It is what it is.
Yeah, it's interesting. Like even at the job with my builder friend there, all the floor and decor tile all had tags on the back of every single one in the shower. Most people will just put the tile up with the tag on the back. I peeled off every single one of those tags by myself.
Yeah, because we're not talking about a little tag on a big tile. We're talking about a tag this big on a 3x6 or a 4x, whatever the tile was, 3x12. So, it's taking up 10-20% of the size of the tile. It's like, no, get that off of there.
Or even like this tile, floor and decor tile, it was clearly seconds. It was very sizey. It had probably 6 patterns or 6 pattern changes on this tile. And it was such a pain in the butt to make sure there were not 2 tiles next to each other. Now, if we were sitting together, I would have been pulling the tags. I would have been sorting everything out. I would have been laying out the different pattern, and then he would be able to just worry about sticking them on the wall and getting good coverage and all this kind of stuff. There's one example right there of just something that made it a total unenjoyable thing. By the end of that shower, I was like, man, I am done with this.
There may have been a tile or two with a sticker on it at the end.
There weren't any stickers on those tile. I took every single one off. There were like 300 stickers all over the damn floor, and that's just one example of that. I think it's really important for us, at least, to have 2 rather than 1. So 2 versus 1. We talked about that. What do you think the ultimate work vehicle is? We're sitting in a van right now. Why do you like to work out of a van?
Because I hate, as you get older, you hate crawling up and down. You want to do it as little as possible, and that's why I like my van. The floor is very low. It doesn't take much to step up into it, and I can stand up in it. It has, the only drawback to my van is it's tall. So there's no going through drive-throughs, which helped out with my fast food, not addiction, but I'm not gonna lie, I like fast food, or I did, so kept me from going to fast food because you have to go in now. So I don't eat fast food all but maybe, I don't know, a handful of times a year anymore. And you can't go through car washes. This thing's a pain in the ass to wash the roof. I had to get my son up there once. I just told him, get up there and stand up there with a brush and scrub away, because you can't get up there. It's about the only downside to it. Other than that, gets great gas mileage. I can store a ton of stuff in here. It saves me a lot of time. I remember when I used to have a truck, we used to have to make 2-3 trips to the supply house. And then we'd have to go get our tools. It'd take, God, 2-3 days to stock a job. I can get it all in one trip very easily now. So I like the van. I know a lot of people like trucks because you can tow. If you're towing stuff, van generally isn't the best thing, but for hauling, a van is the best. But they're kind of ugly. I'd like to have a truck. I like the way trucks look better, but from a utilitarian standpoint, I like my transit van.
You have an 07 F-150, 8-foot bed, your old truck. That's an awesome truck with a tonneau cover on it. For small stuff, for everyday. You ran that thing for what, 7 years?
Something like that.
And I've had it for
like 7 years.
7 years. And I like personally working out of a truck and trailer.
I hate a trailer. Because you got to park with it and back up with it. I can do it. It's just, I hate it. I'd rather have a van.
Yeah. I think that 07 F-150 is kind of the ultimate work truck. I thought it was blown up because I went to the landfill and it was muddy, it was raining, and I just had to gun it because it's 2-wheel drive. And I ended up piercing my oil filter. And I kept losing oil, and I thought I had a leak before, and I just kept putting oil in it. Well, the leak kept getting worse and worse. I brought it to a kind of a shade tree garage that I'd been working. This is how I found out they were shady. And they said, yeah, the motor's blown. And I'm like, oh, well, that sucks. So I went and got a new truck. And then the guy who was towing the truck told me that the person that owned that garage that I had my truck at was kind of not a good guy. He had told other people that their motors were blown. So he's like, you might want to get a second opinion. So I brought it to another place, and they're like, yeah, the starter is bad, and you need a battery, and you had your oil filter was pierced. So they fixed those things, and now my 07 is purring like a kitty again. I'm running that, and it's compared to the other truck that I got, it's just so much better to work out of. So yeah, I'm a truck guy. What do you guys like? What do you guys work out of? What do you think is the best thing? I made a post that seems to be getting some traction on Instagram story about, and we were chuckling about it today, and I wanted to talk to you about it, how we talked to our reps of our tile reps, and they're all former tile guys. And they all talk about how they had these great tiling businesses and all this. But they're working as a sales rep for Schluter, for Ardex, for these bigger outfits. And I made the comment that it's hilarious how all these, there's this other guy, Joe or whatever his name is, on the level tile. He got a job at Schluter and all this. Oh, he's an award-winning tiler. He, great tile business. He was on Tile Money and all this. Well, why the hell are you going to get a job at Schluter then? All these great tilers, you get the great business. I know why. And you go and get the first sales rep job you can get. Kane, he's working for Custom now. Another great example of that. Every tiler looking for an exit strategy, essentially, because we have such a hard time getting the money out of the public for our body and for our skill. It's a travesty. Essentially, it's the bad tilers and the bad labor pushing out the good labor because they drive the cost down so low that the good guys, the top guys, have to leave and go find something else to do in order to make a good living.
So that right there, we know that's just two that we know of that just left the trade. Their skill gone. Their expertise gone. It's not, that knowledge is really not going to get passed down to another generation. Gone. So that's not a good thing, because then what you're left with is, unfortunately, the undesirables.
What's your exit strategy, Jason? Do you have one?
I think about it, but I don't know. Maybe one day. I don't know. I really don't know. Try to just stay healthy and set some tile for a little bit longer. But yeah, it crosses my mind. What are we going to do when we can't do it anymore? But I know the way we work, it helps with our longevity.
Oh, for sure. When we worked,
because I feel fine and nothing wrong with my knees or my back really. I mean, yeah, a little sore here and there, but I'm in good shape. But we know it's not going to last forever. So I don't know. Maybe find something else to do. Obviously, what that is, I don't know. Something will come up. We'll find something else to do. Maybe.
This is a trade where you have an hourglass.
Oh yeah,
and it's draining. Essentially,
especially more because of the way people work. They have to work by themselves. They're doing thousands of feet on the floor. If I was doing that, I'd have been done a long time ago. Our biggest floor anymore is 200 feet. That's a big floor for us. We just don't do a lot of that stuff anymore. We just kind of focus on one thing.
Yeah, I'm not sure what my exit strategy is. I mean, I have some ideas too. I have a branding type of thing that I'm doing, a marketing thing. But
again, could I do training? And I mean, I wouldn't mind doing training of some sort. I'm really good at training people for tile. I have the patience for it, and I know I'm really good at it. But I don't know what that would look like in a job aspect. I hate the office setting. I don't really care for computers. I can't travel right now because of my kids, but as I get older, and they get older, I'll be able to travel more if I had to for a job. So, I think training aspect would be good for me. But again, I don't see that really going on that much in our trade. In all reality, there's some of it, but not to the level that needs to be.
I don't believe. I'd like to not believe. I'd like to think there isn't a cap on what we can make. Like the average tiler, they say makes $40,000 a year. That doesn't do for us. That's not even like that. That's laughable.
That doesn't even. Yeah, that would be. I would literally just work at McDonald's at that point.
I wonder if a bathroom, like where we do bathroom models, I wonder if we could each make $200,000 a year. Is that out of the question?
No, I know it is, because if we didn't have a slow year, we were on our way to have a really good. I mean, I had a really good year, my best year last year ever. I know Ben did too, and I took some time off. It was a little slow at the end of the year. Like it always is. December, November, it's always slow. So I always take, I don't know, at least a month off. I think I had 2 months off last year, and I still had my best year ever. So, if we would have continued chugging along like normal, it's just kind of luck at the end of the year if we have a big project going on, and really if the people want you in their house. It's really what it comes down to. We generally fill the end of the year with just little piddly stuff, backsplashes, small entry floor, just stupid little things, But if we would have had 2 good-sized projects at the end of the year, we would have had a really good year. Then we owed Uncle Sam even more because that bill hurt.
Yeah, exactly. Like I said, I
think it's possible, but you got to get the right clients. That's the main game, and it's possible. I know it is because we were on our way to do pretty well until we're in a recession. Let's be honest. Everybody wants to deny it, but we are. People aren't wanting to fork over $50,000, $75,000 for a bathroom as easily right now. There are still people doing it. Just money isn't flowing as freely as it was.
The calls are still all there.
Oh yeah, still get the calls. That's not
everything's still good.
That's not the issue.
Wise.
That's not the issue. Yeah, we could choose to go work for cheaper if we need to go work. That's why it's there. But we can still afford to be picky.
Yeah.
Which is why we don't have problems, because we are picky. We only work for certain people and certain projects. We don't take on every project. So that's why we generally lead a stress-free work life.
That's true. So here's another thing. I had this thing on NextDoor. If any of you guys want to see inside the minds of the public, get on NextDoor and check it out. I torture myself on there going through the NextDoor crowd and seeing what the numbers they expect are, and everybody says stuff like, can somebody please recommend a reasonable tiler, or like this tiler's pricing is outrageous. And these homeowners, they don't understand that this word reasonable means something different to everybody. It's one of these mealy-mouthed nothing words that people like to use that almost discredit you immediately as a commonsensical person, because what's reasonable to you isn't reasonable to me doing the work. What do you think about that word reasonable or fair when people use it? Oh, we're looking for a fair price. You might as well just say cheap.
It's probably the more accurate word. Nobody wants to get ripped off. I get it. Nobody wants to spend a penny more than they have to. But, there's a difference between price and cost. Those are two different things. What are you getting for your money? To them, if you only make 40, 50 grand a year, $1,000 is a lot of money to you. That's a lot of money to you. I get it. I've been there, but that just means you can't afford a tile shower. One piece surround works just fine. Maybe you can't afford to have an electrician or, painters at your house. You get to paint yourself. That's how that goes.
Most of these people have no problem.
Hold on. There we go.
Most of these folks have no problem spending tons of money on other silly things, though. Mm-hmm. It's just us that they feel like we're ripping them off. Well, how about when you go and buy a bag of potting soil for $14 at Home Depot when you can get a whole trailer load for $35? Think about that one for a second. Nobody says anything about that. The profit margins at Home Depot or the profit margins at Walmart or the profit margins at Target. But if you have American men working in your home with families and a legit business, stable people with a good system and good people working in your home, oh no, you're ripping them off or you're unreasonable. Oh, why are we unreasonable? Like we're talking about becoming handicapped because of our trade. I think that's unreasonable for minimum wage, right? Like some of these guys on NextDoor, they're doing labor only showers for $2,000 to $6,000. And I'm thinking to myself, that is the greatest sleight of hand by contractors giving out these labor only prices, because the homeowner is going to spend all the money on all this other stuff that is just simply included in our price, and we take responsibility for the whole package. Why the hell would I let a homeowner hire other glass people to come in and ruin our waterproofing, for example, on our shower? We take responsibility for everything because our showers, we care about our finished product, right? Using a homeowner's plumber. So you're using your own plumber, your own framing, all this kind of stuff, right? All these different trades, glass, and your tiler is allowing you to do that. And essentially what's going on is, what would you say is the worst part about doing business like that instead of doing it like we do it in a package deal?
You just have a lot of wasted time, really,
And no oversight.
No oversight.
The oversight part is what bugs me, is because when a homeowner uses their own plumber, essentially the homeowner has no idea what they're looking at. There's no connection between the plumber and the tiler, and there's no oversight. The only oversight is by the homeowner who doesn't really know what they're looking at.
Now,
whereas we take responsibility for that.
Now, the project we are on, we're doing something kind of similar to that. But there are things that I will not allow other people to touch. Anything that has to do with the tile, homeowner is not allowed to touch. So this one, they were able to, they did all the tear out, which is fine. They insulated whatever. He did his own electrical. That's fine. Doesn't have really anything to do with me. He did, what else did he do? Oh, he did all his drywall work, which, fantastic job. He did better than most quote unquote professionals, We use that term loosely down in Atlanta. There's not many good painters or drywallers that I've seen. But I didn't allow him to really touch anything to do with the tile. We handled the subflooring, we handled resetting the tub, we handled the plumbing, anything that has to do with what we're doing and it's going to affect us. We don't allow anybody to touch anything. It's because we are, at the end of the day, ultimately responsible. We let people, they want to do stuff on their project. That's fine. Doesn't bother me as long as it has nothing to do with affecting my finished product.
And that's why we can stand behind our work, essentially.
No, that's the only reason. Because if you allow someone else to touch your stuff, Whether you have them sign a stupid piece of paper saying a waiver, I understand this, blah, 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 doesn't matter. Once you set tile on it, you are ultimately responsible for it. That's just how it works. So, you know, if I'm going to be responsible for it, well, then I might as well just do it.
Yeah. Yeah, NextDoor is a trip. Looking at what people think things cost, looking at what people think how things are supposed to go, and it's just based upon their perception. And here's my experience. This is what I know. The way we do things is one of the best ways, because we have it just works out better than having it all piecemeal. Oh, using this part of this person over here.
We used to do that. We used to piecemeal stuff, let the homeowner buy
Oh, we'll
stuff.
just do the
that
tile.
Was when I first
all
started
I want
out.
is a tile set.
It created so many freaking problems and delays, and yeah, we still have delays for certain things. It's just it's construction. Yeah, it's construction.
It's so rare.
But I mean, man, when you let people control the outcome of your project, basically, I mean, it's a nightmare. It is an absolute nightmare that you're not getting paid for. You know, you're not. So guys need to start think of this as, you know, it's a package deal. You need to include your time for everything. Like I used to have to run around and pick stuff, and it wasn't billable hours, you know, like you weren't getting paid. No, we do it as a whole. It's going to take me this long to do this project. That includes everything, picking up materials, you know, going to the dump. Like it's everything, you know.
Babysitting the glass installers, hanging out with the plumber.
Being there with the plumber, you know, even though we don't have to be. That's why we don't have that many problems, you know, because we're there supervising. That's the most problems in this freaking trade and construction in general. Nobody's supervised anymore, you know. And if
you just expect these trades that are underpaid for the first thing to just do the right thing and to have a moral compass, and it generally doesn't work out like that.
They're just the leadership anymore. It's absolutely non-existent. You know, the one guy shows up, picks a check up, and that's the last time you're going to see him. He ain't stepping foot on that job site ever again unless there's a huge issue. And he'll come back to pick up another check after it's fixed. And that's the only time you're going to see him.
Lately, we've been experiencing that in our dealings every day. So, guys, like working separate, working for builders, all this has only reaffirmed to me how good we really are, and that all the things that we say about all the things that we do are true.
And there are good builders out there. We have worked for some of them. I'm not saying that there isn't.
The one I work for is good. I mean, she tries, which is more, and she's actually there doing the work.
Yeah, the new construction house I'm on, the guy who's running the show, he's a real nice guy. Seems like he's got his head on his shoulders. I think he got thrown into a project where he had to kind of take it over, it sounds like, and just kind of get it to the finish line. That's my take on it.
But it's not what we're doing, is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
It's not what Jason's doing. It's not what we're doing. So when you hire us, when you hire Hamilton Tile, I'm so confident that you're gonna be happy and get a great finished product. I'm even more confident in saying this now that I've had these experiences over the last month. I'm happy to be back working with Jason because, you know, like being a part, it really makes me appreciate working with him.
Yeah, it sucks working by yourself.
It really sucks working by yourself. It's terrible. It's good to know that you can do it if you need to, but it's just terrible working by yourself. And yeah, so that's going to be our show for this week, guys. If you wouldn't mind liking, thumbs up in this video, subscribing if you haven't. If you made it this far, you might as well subscribe. Damn. Leave a comment, and yeah, just thanks for the support. I hope you guys are all doing well, staying profitable out there. Remember, guys, we are ambassadors for our trade. Tile doesn't have it. That's our biggest problem. Plumbers, electricians, roofers, they all have representation. They're all out there, you know, a lot of them are out there doing their thing, you know, and people think of them differently. Our biggest problem in tile is public relations. Like, we just do not put the time in to explain to people what's going on. I got a 5-star review last week just for having a phone conversation with a lady and helping her out. And we're not even doing the job, right? Because every phone call that I talk to, I'm an ambassador trying to help people get good tile work. And that's what we need to be, is everyone we talk to, we need to educate them as best as that we can and let them know. And I'm constantly spitting red pills out, and I know some people don't like me over it, but people need to hear this stuff ever hope to get this business to a point where more people can take it seriously and take it as a career and make good money and just live a full, fulfilled life. So think of yourself as an ambassador. I know I do.
If we can do it, anybody. I mean, if we're not,
Same message.
We're not nothing special. We're not, we're not stupid. We're not the smartest. Like, if we can do it, come on, you guys can do it too. I promise you, you can do it.
Yeah. So on that word, have a great week. Stay profitable. Hope everybody's doing well. Thanks for watching.